if I showed you all this or not, but y'all know we with the strategic waiver, system, and this year was a hold harmless year, which sets our baseline for the next 3 years as far as our CCRPI is concerned. Of course, here we are. Our baseline was set at 72.4. So 18-19 is 73.2, 19-20 is 74.1, and in 2021 is 74.9. So those are our CCRPI baseline scores. I mean, our next 3-year scores set off of this baseline and a 3% increase each year. So that's our target, and so that's what we'll be. That's what we have to do in order to satisfy the agreement that we have with GOSA as far as being a strategic waiver school. Okay, so just wanted to let you know that's what we're shooting for. So of course, if we don't get that, which I've got every confidence that we will, then we have what you call the beating the odds. So then you have beating the odds. So you have 2 things to meet the objective: either your baseline or you beat the odds. Of course, we want that to be higher because that's let us know how our, because you know CCRPI let us know how we're progressing as far as the students taking the milestone, which is what they're learning and what they're retaining. Okay, so those are baseline scores for the next 3 years. I did this in the advisory team meeting, and I'm going to do it again so that all of us are on the same page in case someone asks you, well, how do y'all, how does the administration, or how do y'all as a school handle bullying? And I knew that, you know, we talk about it, but I just want you all to be aware of, from an administrative standpoint, you know, how we do handle bullying. All right, so, thank you so much. So we have the definition of bullying, and it depends on who you talk to and what the situation is, and y'all know everything in some people's eyes are considered bullying, you know, everything. And but for us as a organization, you know, you have to go on what the original definition of bullying, you know, is. Now, the Board of Education has a definition of bullying, which is what is in our handbook. And y'all know that's in our handbook. Next slide, please. However, perception is reality. So we investigate every claim. You know, we don't sit there and decide, well, that's just a conflict. That's not bullying. We investigate every claim to determine if it is bullying by definition of the person that reported it, okay? Sometimes, depending on situations, and this has been going on forever and ever and ever, a lot of times, after consequences is issued, then a claim comes. We investigate that as well, okay? But we do not, as administrators, try to separate what bullying is and what it's not. So we get a claim, you know, when I say administrators, I'm including our counselors as well. When we get a claim, we go into investigation mode, okay? Next slide. All right, of course, this is our bullying statement, which we read every morning, you know, and we have it posted around the building to remind students how, if they have it, if they know someone, to keep that fresh in their minds about, if you know somebody's having a situation, go ahead and report it, because we're going to investigate it. Next slide. And then kids that, our problem statement. And y'all be surprised how these 2 statements have helped us as far as from a discipline standpoint, especially when students is taking matters into their own hands. But We do that and we say that every day to remind them, and it's posted, that this is how you handle these situations. Okay, next slide. All right, these are the different types of bullying that we deal with. Before, we didn't have to deal with the cyberbullying, but of course the law has changed. So anything on the internet, it comes in here. Before, we used to just refer them to law enforcement. But now, with the cyberbullying, we have to deal with it, even though it's happened outside, and we do deal with it, okay? All right, next slide. Of course, this is a quick definition of what direct bullying is. So what we try to do is, I created these slides in order for us to give bullying a framework in case we're ever questioned about it. You know, if you guys remember, some of y'all, probably about 2 or 3 years ago, a young man wrote a letter about harming himself. And then the investigator showed up here because they got the letter, and of course he didn't harm himself, thank goodness. But when the investigator showed up here and we talked about the letter, it had all these things that he had did and all these people that he had went to in the school building and supposedly didn't receive any help. To include certain teachers, to include the administration, to include the counselors, you know, all these people he had went to. Well, when the investigator and I did the investigation, he hadn't talked to any of them. You know, he hadn't talked, I know he hadn't talked to me, because when she came in with the letter, that was the first time I'd heard about it. However, if he hadn't heard himself, what would the media have believed? They'd have believed the letter. And then it would have been up to us to prove, well, what are y'all bullying policies? How do y'all handle bullying? They'd probably talk to y'all individually. Do you know the bullying? What do you do with bullying and stuff like that? So it was a wake-up call for me. And I said, okay, I need to streamline this thing and get us a set of steps that we do in case our bullying procedures are ever questioned. All right, so, all right, next slide. All right, then you have the indirect bullying, and I want to share it with you all. You all really don't have to identify what the bullying is, but if you see indirect bullying, you may see something that you consider, well, you know, that's kind of indirect. And if y'all turn it to us, we're going to investigate. We're going to investigate every claim. We don't try to determine if it is or not until we do our investigation. Next slide, please. And of course, the verbal and the different types of verbal bullying. Now, bullying has to occur, and you'll see it later on slide. Before it comes to bullying, it has to occur over and over and over and over again. However, we want to stop it before it starts occurring over and over and over and over again, okay? So, but like the second slide is somebody's perception. If somebody feels like it's a bullying situation, then we got to go into action and stop it. All right, next slide, please. All right, the nonverbal. You know, you always get this one. They were looking at me. You know, what did they say? No, they were looking at me. You know, but in their mind, it's bothering them. So we have to try to fix it. Okay. And of course, the cyberbullying with the texting, with the Facebook, and all of that kind of stuff. We just dealt with a situation yesterday or this week. The ugliest people in Sandersville. You know, and somebody over the holiday sent out the Facebook thing and had a video, and of course some of our students was on there. So of course the parents come straight here, you know, and we dealt with it, you know. Now with me, when I'm dealing with a bullying situation, I have no sympathy for the bully. You know, I'm gonna do whatever we need to do to stop it, even if it's separating that person from this building. So I have no, leave people alone or you can't stay here. You know, we'll do things like change classes and stuff like that, but it just depends on, but if it's really a bullying situation, then we don't tolerate that. Next slide, please. Of course, the other types of cyberbullying, okay? And then we got exclusion. I mean, it's just, you know, it just goes on and on and on, Okay, next slide. Different other types. So we researched and looked at all the types because there's some that we have in our mind that we may not know about, so I want to share this with you all because there are different types of cyberbullying. Okay, next slide, please. All right, the intervention phase. It's reported, we immediately investigate it. If it is bullying, and we notify the parents or guardian, and then sometimes we notify the parents and guardian even if we're going into an investigation. A lot of times it's the parent and guardians that will do the reporting, okay? But in some cases it's not, and we always notify them, issue a discipline if a discipline is warranted, and then of course we always follow up to make sure there's no type of retaliation. Because God, I'm just all in your way. To make sure that there's no type of retaliation or anything like that, okay? All right, next slide. And again, this is from the state. Upon receipt, we start our investigation immediately. We don't put it off. We don't wait till tomorrow. We start our investigation immediately. All right. Because I think some of y'all, I shared with y'all the school district I was at before when we had the school shooting. I was actually on morning duty, and the assistant principal was going up to, he got a call and he was going up to get the students who he got the call about. And I can remember as if it was happening that he took a couple steps and looked back at me and he looked at his watch. He said, you know what? That bell's about to ring. I'll get them after homeroom is over. And then when the bell sounded between homeroom and first period is when the shooting happened. So I don't know, if he got up there or whatever, but that just planted in my mind. That's why I don't wait, because I was directly involved in a situation where he was like, well, I'm just gonna wait. And the bell was about to ring, but for me, that just made an impression on me. And I was a PE teacher then, but in my since I've become a principal, I just remember that. Okay, next slide, please. All right, this is the form. Date and time it's reported. Date and time of the investigation. All the students that's involved, and then we write a summary of the investigation, and then we determine whether it was bullying or not. And then, of course, we notify, and then we write whatever the disciplinary action is. Okay, so that's the form we use when it's a bullying. This is a form that Ms. Walker created in the discipline office, where once we do our report, we attach everything to the form that I just showed you, and then she numbers the investigation. So if 2 years from now, Alan Gray reported a bullying, so reported by Alan Gray, the date 2 years ago, students involved, the administrator that handled it. So when I go to that folder, if it was number 10, I just go to tab 10 and everything on that incident is sitting right there. Okay? So that's something it's amazing. So I just go there, I got the list of names, Alan Gray, number 10, I go to tab 10, flip it open, and everything that we investigated in that situation is sitting right there. So that's how we keep up with it. Okay? Next slide, please. All right. This is a flow chart that comes right off the DOE it's a Boolean flow chart, and this takes off the subjectivity. So when we finish our investigation, we go straight down this flow chart right here. All right? And it identifies the incident that's reported. If it fits, yes. All right. I did?
I don't know, I didn't.
Okay. Incident that occurred, and if it's here, then it's yes. If it's not one of these, then of course it stops there. Then it drops down, is the victim smaller in size, has a physical or mental disability, different race, gender, religion, outnumbered, all of those are yes, so then we keep going down the flow chart. Next one. Then how did the victim feel? Scared or afraid, threatened or intimidated, mad or vengeful. And then right here, if the victim, it was just irritated or annoyed, you know, if it's like a conflict and one is giving more than the other one and they're giving and they just feel irritated and annoyed, you see where it stops. If it's any of these three, we continue. How did the victim react? Walked away and back down, told an adult, pushed back or hit back, depending on the circumstances, and then argued or retaliated. That's what you have a lot in conflicts. They argue or retaliate. That happens, then it discontinues. If the other happens, you continue on. All right, and then it talks about the incident originated from, how did it start, and then you have those list of things. So if it's teasing, physical aggression, or whatever, then you continue. All right? Then the next slide. Then it comes, talk about did the incident, right there, and the incident occurred, and that's the key. See that? More than once, not more than once. Okay? More than once, yes. Not more than once, not bullying. Okay? So that's the flow chart that we follow from the Georgia Department of Education. It takes all my feelings out of it, subjectivity, and it's a flow chart that's been vetted by the, you know, because anything on that is vetted by the attorneys and things like that. So that's the flow chart that we follow after we do our investigation. Okay, next slide, please. Then, of course, if it is, we notify the parents, we notify the victim and the perpetrator. Next slide, please. And then we issue the consequences. Okay, so we give age-appropriate consequences. If somebody bullies 6th through 12th grade for the 3rd time, they automatically assign to the alternative school. Right? And then we should clearly communicate to all parties about retaliation, and we're not going to tolerate, you know, any retaliations towards the victim. Next slide. And then, of course, we always do follow-ups. We always do follow-ups with it. All right, next slide, please. All right, so any questions about how we handle bullying? And I don't think I ever have talked to you all, you know, you kind of know we handle it, but you really don't know, you didn't know the steps, and so that's why I'm sharing that with you. And that's something that, in my mind, you know, with bullying being to the level that it is and everything like that, we have to have a solid plan on how we handle it. Because one day we're going to be questioned. One day we're going to be questioned about, hopefully we're not, but if you look at the news all the time about people hurting themselves and, you know, then they start investigating the schools and things like that, you have to have a concrete way that you handle bullying, and you have to have evidence that you are handling it in that way. So that's kind of how we just wanted to share that with you all, how we're handling it. I will be switching gears a little bit. We will be doing our mid-year conference on TEKS. Today is Thursday, probably Monday. All right, probably Monday. Well, not probably. Monday we'll have a quick meeting, because I can't do it in groups and small groups. So we'll have a quick meeting on our mid-year TEKS conference, and then we can move on with the second half as far as TEKS is concerned, okay? I know that platform is not as user-friendly as the TLE platform was, but they're slowly bringing that platform along, you know, so that's, but we just have to do what we got to do to get through it until they complete it as far as reports and things, and making it a little more user-friendly and getting used to it, okay? I said earlier, our faculty meetings are much me and our advisory team meetings are pretty much going to